Hey guys, today is going to be the first work in progress video for the HG Victory 2 Assault Buster Gundam. So if you'll remember, this was the kit chosen by the winner of the free commission contest that I did not too long ago, Edmund. So this is going to be his kit. Luckily he requested a kit that I already had, so I'm just going to use this kit that was actually mine. I'm just going to paint it up and have it be the commission kit for his, so luckily I didn't have to buy the kit again. That means I already had it all snapped up as well. Just got the kit here, and again, if you guys saw my last work in progress video for the HGUC, this is going to be very similar, where I'm just going to be going over my plans for the kit basically in this video. So don't really expect to add too much building or too much exciting for this kit. So a little bit more boring possibly, but I'm just going to go over what needs to be fixed on this kit and what my plans are for it. So as I said in the video talking about the contest, I'm not going to be doing too much customizing on this. Basically, it's just going to be getting rid of seam lines and things like that needs to be fixed, filling in some empty space areas. So just because that's probably the easiest thing, there's really not too much of that to talk about in this case. Let's just go over that first. For the moment, I've just got this separated into like the Gundam itself, and then here's like the backpack and weapons, and then the core fighter here, and then these are all just extra parts over here on the side. I just got to separate it out to get started. Parts that need to be filled in with putty are going to include these spaces here, just 1, 2, 3 spaces on the back of the shield here. Probably going to reshape this handle part of the shield a little bit. It's very boring and dull, that shape, so probably gonna maybe just sand that, reshape that a little bit, make it a little bit thinner, a little bit more interesting. And the only other part that needs some putty filled in is then here on the Mega Beam Rifle, the back of that part there, and I believe that was really just about it. So that part I believe is just going to come off something like this. Anyway, so filling that in with putty will be very easy. Just fill it in and then just sanding it smooth is pretty much all there's going to be to it. So that putty work is not going to be too intense. However, there are quite a bit of seams that need to be filled on this. Let's just go over those. First thing is going to be the lower legs, front there and back all along there, but that's very easy, very just smooth space there with no details on the front of the panel line here on the back, but that shouldn't be too difficult. So that'll be easy, and that seam line doesn't interfere with any parts going together. As you can see, these parts are all just parts that you just add on. So the only part that does interfere with is this lower piece here, which does need to be attached inside there, but that's fine. I'll just leave that in there and get rid of this seam. That'll be permanently attached inside there, but it moves out of the way enough so that painting this all together should be fine. I can paint both of those parts without any issue. Then going back to the Mega Beam Rifle, the back half of this, all this front part and this side part doesn't have any seam, but the back half does have some seam here and then a little bit there. Underneath as well, or wait, that would be, yes, here would be underneath, and then just this part. So some seam on that, again, won't be too difficult. There's not really a whole lot of detail there. It's pretty smooth place, a flat place there. Then on the backpack, there's a seam here on this just very small backpack part, so just gonna try to work on that a little bit. Again, not really very noticeable, but just a little bit of work needed for that. On the beam, this is like a beam spray, something, what is it? Spray beam pod. Has a seam line going down there. Again, won't be too hard to get rid of that. Either here on the very end of the V here, just a seam line on there, a little bit here on this white part underneath. Again, all of this stuff really shouldn't be too hard. The thing is that there's a lot of it. The seams won't really be too difficult to get rid of. It's just that there's kind of a lot of them. So all across here on that white part, and on the other side as well, the white part underneath, seam there, on the blue part a little bit on top, and then of course the cannon, it has it for this back half. The front half doesn't have it, luckily. Those parts are separate, but just this back half here, gonna need to get rid of that seam. And the arms, the forearm, just this back part here, the back of the elbow, there's a small seam there, and then on the front, just very small there in the center of the arm, that center part has a small seam there as well, but then that's it. There's a seam on the head, but I think I'm not going to worry too much about that. It's really not that noticeable at all, and like especially the top part, it seems like it's kind of like supposed to be there. May work on that just a little bit on the side, but I've yet to decide. It will probably be okay without. The only area that's going to pose a problem with getting rid of the seams and painting is going to be the shoulder parts. Now, just to give you a look at that, we'll just kind of remove all this other stuff here. Here's the base shoulder armor, and then the arm plugs into there, and then we have this little armor piece which just fits up into there, but that's not fitted between, it's not sandwiched between these parts, so it'll be okay. That can just be removed like that. So we got a seam line here, which is going to be mostly covered up. When we slide the Assault Buster armor onto here, I guess it'd be the Assault armor onto there, it's going to cover up most of that. There is still going to be a little bit seen there, so I'm just going to get rid of that seam line. That should be very, very simple. And then this part here, the gold part, and so this is basically the only part of this kit that's going to take some modifying to get rid of the seam, is this gold part. And the problem is that the gold parts sandwich this blue part in the middle, and I want to paint the blue part blue and the gold part's gold. So how I'm going to fix that is pretty simple. If I can take this apart here. If I just have the gold parts like this, and I glue that and I get rid of the seam like that, the only thing that's really stopping me from just being able to just slide this blue part into place is just these square pegs inside here. So what I'm going to do is just like cut those down to about half size, and that'll give me enough clearance to slide this in, and I can even do it like now, just barely kind of, but it would definitely be scratching the paint, or I'd be worried about scratching the paint. So just to be safe, I am gonna just cut those little square pegs down just a little bit. I can slide this blue piece in, and then it will just fit into place there, and then we'll be all good and we'll have no problems. The inner part of that blue part is supposed to be gray as well, so we'll have to do a little bit of masking, and of course other parts of the kit are going to take some masking when it comes to the painting. But as far as the seam lines on it, that should just about cover it. So then finally, let's talk about the paints for this kit. For the white, and I'm using this Mr. Color Super White, number 156. And actually this is not exactly super white. I did add a little drop of purple to this, so this is actually the same white that I've used for the Wing Zero Custom that I'm just now finishing up, the Master Grade. So it's white, but it does have a slight purple tint to it, so that will be like that. Actually, the color scheme for this Assault Buster Gundam is going to be very, very similar colors, basically, to what I use for the Master Grade Wing Zero. So for the red, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did for that kit as well. I'm going to use Gaia Notes, mixing these two colors, mixing some number 23 Scarlet, and let's show that to you guys a little bit of there. Number 23 Scarlet and number 003 Bright Red. So Gaia Notes here for that red. The Scarlet is just by itself is a little bit too orange. The Bright Red is just a little bit too plain red. So mixing the two makes a really nice shade of kind of bright orangish, slightly orangish red. Same thing for the blue here as well. For the blue, I'm going to be mixing number 80 is Cobalt Blue, and then number 34 is Sky Blue, just to get a little bit in between. Again, the Sky Blue is too light, the Cobalt Blue is too plain. So mixing those to make a nice blue color for all the blue parts, and there's quite a bit. And then for the yellow, I haven't used this yellow, but I'm going to test it out. I think this yellow will be perfectly fine. It's based a very basic yellow, just Sunshine Yellow here. Again, Gaia Notes for this one. And then the gold, this one I'm also going to have to try out, but I think this gold will end up working very well. It's number 124, Starbright Brass. So this color here you can see is not going to be totally true because the paint's not perfectly mixed. You can see there's a lot of yellow pigment here at the top. But I think this color will be very good for the gold. I have not ever painted anything gold with my airbrush, so it'll be the first time trying that. I'll have to experiment a little bit just to make sure this gold is the right color that I do want to use, and that it's going to look good with the rest of the colors. But I think this is probably going to work out very well. So that's it for the colors. For the inner frame, I don't know, it'll be like just any sort of frame kind of detail parts. There's really not too many of them. but just for the couple of those that there are will be just some sort of standard gray color. I don't know, nothing really exciting there. So that's pretty much going to be the colors for this kit, and that's what needs to be done. So I'm going to be starting to work on this pretty soon. Going to be giving this a priority over some other projects. And then of course just after the main painting is done, there's going to be a lot of detail painting. With this being an HG and with it having quite a bit of detail, especially like all these little vents and things like that, there's going to be a lot of stuff to go in and hand paint in a lot of those details once all that's done. But it should be fun. For any decals for this, don't really have any plans at the moment. Might put a few decals on it. I need to talk with Edmund, the winner of this kit, to see what he wants in terms of decals. If he really wants to go like really full like Verka to loads of decals, would be okay. For something this small, I think loads of decals doesn't really always look very good. I think there's going to be a lot of detail, and this kit is not very big. In general, you know, the Victory Gundam and V2 are not very big in just their overall size, so trying to pack in, they already have a lot of details on here, and then packing in lots of decals as well will make it very crowded. So I don't know, we'll see whatever he wants. That's just kind of my thoughts about it. So that's it for this work in progress, guys. Again, sorry there's no actually work, but I just wanted to go over some of my plans for this kit. Scratch that. There is one thing that I did forget to mention. One other part that will need to be slightly modified in order to get rid of the seam line here on the arms. This red piece, I said we need to get rid of the seam here at the top of the back of the elbow and the small one here in the front. In order to do that, we have to get rid of this red piece in there, which is sandwiched between there. So I'm just going to remove the hand, remove this part. Then we've got just the basic part of the forearm here. Take this apart. And as you can see, here's how that's going to work. This red part just fits onto this peg there. But very, very easy to modify this. All we need to do is take our nippers, and you can see we even have this like edge of where this part, of where that fits. So all we need to do is just cut out this section here, there, and there. There we go. Now we've just made it like that. We can put our forearm back together. And then get rid of that seam line there as we would. And then when that's all done, when it's all painted and this is all painted, this is just gonna go, just pop into there like that, and it's all good. So really, really simple modification there. You can see we'll just need to do a little bit of sanding just on the edge of that, just clean up that red part there where we cut it, just to make it nice and pretty again on the edge. But that's it for fixing that part. If you do have any other questions or comments, of course leave those down below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.